Okay, well, welcome to a local Alberta business profile. I'm talking with Penny Hodgson, who is the owner of Kyron's Way. It's an Alberta-based business. It provides services at a time when we really need it, for people who are stressed, people who are having challenges, and of course that everybody can relate with that right now with this terrible pandemic and economic stresses. Uh, and it's a broad-based service for individuals. So I found it best. I just want to chat directly with Penny and lay out what she offers and how we can help out some Albertans here. So thanks for joining me, Penny, and
Well,
let's
thank you for having me.
talk about what you guys do.
Okay, well, what I do is a mind, body, spirit approach. Basically, uh, the whole individual is how I look at it. And I've had to, it's a accumulation of all the things that I've learned over the years in recovering from my own traumas. So I've had a lot to deal with. I was born with a severe disability. It's a thing called bilateral congenital hip dysplasia. So essentially, I was born without hips. So as a kid, I walked really funny. And so that, of course, led to years and years of bullying and teasing. And in order to keep walking, I had to go through multiple very complicated orthopedic surgeries. And some of those worked well and some did not. So over the course of the years, I've had now 14. So that kind of forced me to learn about how the body works and what the consequences of physiological stress are on the body and how that depletes things. Then, of course, there's emotional stress that goes with all of that as well. And as a child, from the age of 10 to 14, I was sexually molested by a family member. And I was raped when I was 13 while babysitting. The drunk father came home, and that was the experience I had there. So I've had a lot of things to learn how to overcome. And I've just found over the years that a mind, body, spirit approach works the best.
Oh, I appreciate that, and it's that holistic approach. I mean, our minds are connected to our bodies, and we forget that. Uh, as
Absolutely.
as a graduate of a 12-step program myself, I understand the amount of time and discussion and therapy it takes for people when they've got challenges. And what I like about with your approach too is it's not opiate involved, even though it could be
Yeah.
dealing with things where people are very dealing with physiological or mental stresses, where sometimes we seem to over medicate a heck of a lot. So
Yeah.
if somebody was to approach you for services and so on, where do they begin, and what would the process sort of be?
Well, I offer two assessments that are free. One is a stress assessment, which is just a series of questions that gives me an indication of how well you're coping with stress. So stress will manifest through, eventually it accumulates enough that it manifests in symptoms. And I kind of look at it like how many dominoes have fallen over. So the stress questionnaire gives me an indication of that. And I also offer a nutritional stress assessment. And that tells me how well is your body utilizing nutrients, because one of the first thing that happens with stress is your digestion shuts down. It's a natural thing. It's what our bodies do. But if we're in chronic stress, then our body can't assimilate nutrients properly. And it's like your body runs on food is our fuel. So if it's not utilizing the fuel properly, then it can't send those nutrients to the organs that deal with stress, our nervous system, for example, and then we don't have a sufficient supply. So it's like not filling your gas tank all the way.
Yeah, and the physical aspects of stress and ongoing stress are really something that don't get addressed, I think, nearly enough. I mean, if people remember, if they've had a long stressed period, I mean, that clenched feeling in your stomach, you're going to not be feeling well. You've got physical manifestations of that problem. So if you can address the stress, you can avoid some of the other issues.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I also use a neurofeedback system. It's designed by the HeartMath Institute. And what the HeartMath Institute has found over decades of research is that by measuring what's called heart rate variability, they can determine your body's, again, neurologically, your body's ability to deal with stress and what is the state of resiliency. So the HeartMath system actually is an unbiased, it's not my opinion. It is your heart rate is the distance between the peaks and valleys in your heartbeat. That tells me through their software the state of your health from a neurological standpoint. So there's a lot of tools in my little basket that I use to help to determine where should we start and how do we design a plan of action for you.
Well, it's good to see a means of measurable progress. I mean, if you've been spending weeks or months and perhaps along the wrong track, you don't know that. To have some modern mechanisms to see how you're going is a good breakthrough, I guess. So,
Yeah.
So you'd been through some, how would I put it, schooling and some qualifications. You wanted to talk a bit about on that, where your background is on this.
So I'm a certified HeartMath interventions practitioner, which just means that I'm able to utilize their software and be able to assess what it's telling me. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist through the Canadian School of Natural Nutrition. I also have certification in therapeutic counseling, and recently I did the Brain Story certification, which is widely known in kind of the addictions field, although I think personally it really applies to more than that, because it's the Brain Story certification is put out by Alberta Wellness Institute. And it talks about the long-term consequences of emotional trauma and how wide it is. Statistically, 1 in 3 people, 1 in 3 have suffered emotional trauma in their childhood. And we take that trauma through into our adult lives, and then it affects multiple areas in all of our relationships, both personal and business.
Yeah, well, and addiction is just one of the ways some of us cope with problems in a self-destructive and poor way, but there's a lot of other compulsions and bad behaviors we can do that still can have the same healing applications, I guess, to try and get us out of those behaviors.
Right. Well, it's just how do we cope? And we can only cope by what we've learned how to cope. And if we haven't learned, if nobody's taught us what to do, how are we supposed to know? Like I often tell people, if it was as simple as just choosing a happy thought, there would not be any miserable people on the planet. I mean, it's just not that easy. I mean, it's part of a solution. We can learn how to reframe our thoughts, but we can't just decide one day, well, I'm going to be happy and think that will work for the rest of your life. That's a Band-Aid solution, because your subconscious mind will ultimately overpower. So you have to learn how do I retrain that so that I can remain calm? So a combination, HeartMath has specific techniques that they use to help you learn to achieve what they call entrainment, communication between your heart and your brain. And if you can keep that channel open, then you can learn just through breathing techniques how to manage stress that way. And also, I have a program here that I wrote. It's called Mind Files. And I use that to help you learn how you developed thoughts and how you get trapped in your thoughts and what to do to get yourself out of them.
Well, fantastic. It's like I said, it's refreshing to hear of a larger based program. I mean, different people have different needs. Some with their conventional medical treatments and things do perfectly fine, but some people fall through the cracks and need something more or something different. So for people considering your services, maybe describe how they could reach you and where to begin the process of seeing if what you're offering is what they need.
Sure. My website there is right up on the screen. It's kyronsway.com. You can reach me through email at penny@kyronsway.com. And all the services are outlined on the website on the consultation page. And everybody who comes in for service gets a free copy of the Mind Files book so that they can take it home and learn how to work through your thoughts.
Well, I really appreciate that. It's just good to see businesses that are out. Well, I like to see businesses in general doing well. It's been such a tough time, but a business that's making a positive difference for people and helping things out is really appreciated. So thanks for expanding on what you guys do, and looking forward to hearing how you've been helping others out in these crazy times.
Great. Thank you so much, Corey.